speaking of near-death experience, you had one. Would you like to share that experience? What happened?
Oh, sure. Well, I grew up, well, I was just a very depressed teenager. It was kind of difficult for me with my parents. I'm not blaming my parents. They just did their job very well at reflecting back to me the contract that I needed to learn. So I really struggled with depression and not being enough. And I felt like I was never going to be enough for anyone. And just very seriously depressed, you guys. So when I was 19, I had a suicide attempt. And during that attempt, what I thought was a volunteer firefighter in my bedroom was actually my spirit guide. So I took a bunch of pills and was lying in bed and kind of came to, and there was a man in my room standing next to my bed, very tall, very slender. But when I had attempted, I saw a tunnel of light. I went down. I was really excited. This tunnel was so warm and loving, accepting. It provided such a peace and an ease, you guys, that I was not experiencing that just kind of whole body love. I hadn't felt that in a long time. So it was, I was drawn to that light, and I was walking down that tunnel. And there was my friend Chris, who had died of a brain tumor when we were little, and my grandma Leela. And they were waving and like, hey, but when I reached them and I was in front of my grandma Leela, she shook her head. No, no, it's not your time. And then I was pulled back and I was in my room and turned over. And there was this man who I thought was a volunteer firefighter, because I grew up in a place that was very rural and we didn't have those kinds of services. They were all volunteer. So to me, that's kind of what made sense. It wasn't until later that I realized that he was not. That how is it that this person would be in my room if nobody made a phone call, So, but he said to me, it is not always going to be like this for you. Life is not like this. Your experience is not going to always be like this. Love and joy and feeling like you belong. He said those things to me. Or, that is what life is about. That is what this experience is about. And that get through this, you will get on the other side, was kind of his message. So I realized, I didn't realize that he was a guide then, you guys, because I went to the hospital and, got home, and I had, my car was parked up on the street, and I had a blue Carmen Ghia, which is a Volkswagen. And also I had a good friend who had a yellow one. So we were kind of like into these cars. We would commute to college together. And on our way, my friend would be driving and I would see this pink Carmen Ghia like at the stoplight, or we'd pass through an intersection and there it would be, this pinky purple color. And I thought, oh man, that's so cool. Because, we always had our eyes out looking. And when I was walking up to my car, up to the street, that pink Carmen Ghia came and just slowed right in front of me. And it was, it was just such this beautiful pinky purple. It kind of glowed. It was so weird. And then that volunteer firefighter was driving and he just waved at me like, it was like in slow motion, you guys. And my jaw dropped to the ground. I was just stunned as he drove by. It didn't hit me until much later that he was my guide, because I would see him. I still went through periods in my life battling depression, going up and down with my mood and just, life. I was just so different than others. And when I moved to Hawaii, I would see, Pink on the beach. I would see him sometimes in the grocery store. And it would always be in times of my life where I was kind of struggling. And I just thought he was a permanent delusion. I didn't realize who he was in my life. So that experience got me to Pink, to that beginning of that relationship. But as far as my relationship with him now, in using him as and understanding that he is a guide and guiding me and can help me when I'm helping others to get guidance, So that wasn't until when I was about 51, 52.
And when you say that you see him, like for me, who don't see guides or spirits, like, did he appear physical to you? So
Yeah, he's standing right there in his black and red checkered shirt, just like a man. And Courtney is my other one, who I met 22. She was in physical human form, but she's from Sirius B, and she looks like a little white. I see the same blue eyes that she had when I met her as a human, but she looks like Casper the Friendly Ghost. The Syrians, there's a certain race where they look.
So you
They
mean
say
like
they
she
look like
is a
little.
human, or she's not a human, or I'm confused.
I'm sorry, Annika.
Do you mean that she is a human, or she looks human, or is she a spirit, or is she a human and then a guide, or is she appearing human?
She was a human who was a walk-in from Sirius B,
Oh,
and so now I see her in her guide form. It's like her spirit, but she, in physical form, to me, that I see with my eyes, looks like Casper the Friendly Ghost. She's just this little white, and with her eyes, the same eyes that
huh.
I met when I was 22.
The thing is that I feel it's so fascinating to like interview you and other psychics, because you see the world in such a different way than I do. So I'm like trying to understand how you see the world, and you probably are, feeling like, oh, she doesn't get it, But to me, it's either real or not, because I'm not able to imagine how it feels like that you
Right,
communicate with guides that in a way are there, but they're not really there. And to me, when I'm communicating with guides, I don't know if I'm making it up, if it's just myself, just okay, I'm trying to
right,
believe I'm communicating with guides right now. When I've been out to my body, I know I've been out to my body, and what I saw there felt real. But in my physical body, it just feels like very physical, and that's it.
right.
Like nothing
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. No, that is such an excellent, question, comment, and experience, because yes, I mean, how I experience the world is very different. And it's wonderful that I thought I was nuts, and that we've kind of, in our reality, we do that. We don't entertain Sasquatch. We don't entertain, that their consciousness and explore who they are. We've always laughed at it or made fun of it. That if people can see other spirits or things, then they're crazy. You know, we've kind of had this belief instilled in us as humans. It's absolutely beautiful now that we're going through this collective awakening and we're entertaining it. You know, all the readings, the consultations I do with folks, I love it because they're like, well, 3 or 4 years ago, I started to have this awakening where my perspective shifted, and I just can't stop. I can't stop this quest. I can't stop this, you know, the watching podcasts and reading and entertaining. But it's so wonderful, Yannicka, for somebody like me who experiences reality this way to now run into people that are just like, yeah, Jen, you know, I get it. It's just, it's great. So, also, I just want to say that we can develop a relationship with our spirit guides, that we can build a foundation with our spirit guides, that we can start to work with our spirit guides. It, you know, understand, gang, that we are all driving our spiritual ship, that you can drive it any way that you want to. You are in the driver's seat, essentially, that you can. You start to understand dimensional work. You start to understand guides, the different levels, dimensions of guides. When you start to do that, you can begin to develop a relationship and change your perspective. I think we get the idea, like from watching YouTube podcasts, that, you know, only special people can see their guides or work with their guides or get messages from their guides. But I'm telling you that everybody can, because we all have a guide team. Now, it may come through differently for everyone. Some people may see, some people may hear them, some people, their right shoulder may tingle, or they'll get a tone in their ear. But all of it is equal.
To watch the full video, click the link below, and I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel.